9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello there and happy holidays and welcome to X-Wingin It, episode 3. We are back again. Sorry we had some technical difficulties last week, but we are back up and running. I am here again with my co-host Brendan. And before we go any further, like always, I got to say a big shout out to our sponsor, TRG Toys and Collectibles. You can see it scrolling down there at the bottom. Make sure you check them out at trgtoys.com for Star Wars, Marvel, you name it. They got it. And as you can tell, Brendan and I are rocking the awesome ugly sweaters today.
Gotta get in the spirit, right?
It's holiday time. We got to enjoy it. And again, everybody, I want to thank you all for watching. This is our last episode of the year. It's hard to believe 2023 is over. I mean, it feels like it just started, don't you think?
Doesn't feel like it should be at the end, but
yeah, it definitely is there. So today, this episode is going to be a little bit different. We're pretty much just going to talk about some of the stuff that happened during 2023, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff we're excited for and hoping for 2024. But I'm going to let Brendan start off because most of you all know that I am not the greatest when it comes to comic books. So there's definitely two big things that really kind of was big this year, and obviously that was the High Republic and Dark Droid. So Brendan, I'll let you talk about some of the highlights and lowlights about those two series, and we'll start with the Dark Droids.
Yeah, so the Marvel comics, especially the Star Wars ones, for the last almost 2 years now, it's kind of been jumping big like crossover events. So we had War of the Bounty Hunters, we had Crimson Reign, we had Hidden Empire, and this is the most recent one, Dark Droids. It's actually wrapping up this month. And Dark Droids, what I have really enjoyed, really love about it, is it's the first I think it's the first real horror we've seen in Star Wars since Disney's taken over. There's been some all ages like horror comic books, which they could be good. I haven't checked them out yet, so shame on me. But yeah, this kind of goes back to, I don't know if you ever read or heard like the Death Trooper book that was like in the 2000s, and there was like Red Rising, I think was the other one. But it's basically kind of pulls on a lot of those horror tropes, working on like zombies and whatnot, but there's this entity that is taking over droids, and like what it keeps saying is first it comes for the metal, then it comes for everything else. Yeah. So it's just been a lot of fun. I think Star Wars has done these crossover events pretty well. I'm not sure, people who follow Marvel and whatnot, sometimes the crossover events are a little weak or feel like they break things up too much, but it's been a good ride with these four just kind of being strung together, and so far this one is my favorite one.
Nice. So it's pretty much, the droids are getting their own identity now, and they're kind of getting some.
Well, they're actually all being taken over by one like massive identity.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
I guess I do need to start reading it there, and shame on me again for that. Now the one, I'm going to admit, this next one you're talking about, I just have a hard time getting into it, and I guess that might be the old-fashioned in me, where I'm more about our original trilogy, stuff like that. But obviously we're talking about the High Republic, and it's going to be interesting because we're going to start seeing movies and series and stuff about this. But go ahead, take us into some of the highlights for this year that we've got on the High Republic coming at us.
So this year, the High Republic, it's been, when it was announced to be 3 phases. This year wrapped up phase 2 and just kicked off phase 3. So I think it's been a very strong series, a lot of fun. I think why I think you'll like it and why I think you should check it out is it's kind of going back to those old Legends book where the scope is huge. It's not just these character-centered stories. We're talking about stuff that's an entire galaxy or big sectors. There's lots of stuff involved. So I think, and that was kind of, they had to get away from the Star Wars era to really do that again. Just because the Star Wars era is focused on the movies and TV shows, and they want to give those priority. So they're going somewhere that they could do big, momentous things again, and just go crazy with it and have fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, for me, it was just really hard kind of getting with, the whole, um, the whole beginning of things and kind of like with no assist and stuff. And like I said, I'll probably start reading it and try to get back into it again. But again, shame on me for not being jumping on that
We
one,
can't do it all.
But all right. So obviously comics, there's a lot of stuff. And then there's some stuff coming for, do you have anything ideas for 2024 that you're hoping to see? Or now I do know, I think the Bounty Hunter series is ending in 2024.
Yeah, both Bounty Hunter series and Afra are ending in their current runs. So there's been a Jango Fett series, I think, that's supposed to be coming after the Bounty Hunter. I haven't heard anything else, but I think this Dark Droids is kind of wrapping up all of it. It sounds like I wouldn't expect that Star Wars and Vader go on too much longer either, because we are pushing right up to the last movie, about as close as we can get with stuff. They have crammed a ton of storytelling in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So, it'll be interesting to see where they go with it. We don't have a lot of original storytelling going on outside of those. Like, we've had the Mandalorian books, but they're just retelling of the seasons and stuff. So I think the High Republic, with the Acolyte coming out, they may lean into that more and continue it more. But they did a Yoda book that's been good. They did an Obi-Wan book that's been good, that are kind of like smaller stories. And I think that Django is going to kind of be that too, just re-examining some of these characters that are fun and just giving us quick hits and quick stories. But we'll have to see what they're going to do for the main line.
Yep. So also, everybody who's watching and listening today, please chime in. We want to see your comments, your questions. And also for you, that's on Instagram. This is actually our first time streaming on Instagram. They finally gave us the option. So we're anxious to see how that's coming through on there. So let us know on Instagram how the show looks. And we want to know your feelings on that. So obviously the comic book world is a big world. We want to know what you guys think about some of the comics that have been released and what's coming out. Game-wise, there really hasn't been a lot of uproar with the game, especially board games and stuff like that for this year. But one game that did release this year, and I know Brent and I both had the opportunity to play and have some fun with, is Star Wars Rivals. Now, this game's from Funko. It's a blast. It's a good time. And I know Brent and I have spent many hours tracking down these figures and also playing with it. But Brent, I'll let you talk first. What are some of your pluses and what do you like about this game, and maybe even some dislikes as well?
It's, first off, it's a very casual game in the sense that anyone can sit down, pick it up pretty quickly. You don't need, like, if you get the starter set and go pick up one or two booster sets, you can sit down and play and get some variety from it. So I know friends that have played with their kids who are not the youngest, but probably 10 and up, and enjoy it. So I think it's a good family game. There's a ton of variety. We loved playing random, right?
Yeah.
Just, you couldn't have a strategy going into the game because you didn't know what characters you would get. And then just kind of like feeling out like, wow, I didn't realize Grievous would play well with Vader or whatever. and it ends up working.
Yeah. It definitely is a fun game that keeps you on your toes. And it's one that it probably takes about 30 minutes to get through one game, which is what I like about it, because
it was quick,
you can get multiple games in one night, if you have like a little tournament and stuff like that. But like you said, what I like is how the people team up. I mean, sometimes like I got in a streak where I had nobody that paired up good with each other, and it was awful. But again, it's just a fun game. The cards are interesting. I would say one of the things, there are some rules that are kind of out there that you got to interpret and try to figure out on your own a little bit. But that comes with the territory of this newer game. Hopefully we'll be getting an announcement of a series 2 for this, so we get some more figures involved and some more power cards and stuff like that. So I'm very anxious to see what the future holds for that as well there. So now we're going to get into everything that everybody enjoyed this year, and that's obviously the Star Wars content that we got this year. I mean, as Star Wars fans, we are getting so much content. I mean, it's just awesome. We're getting, shows, series, comics, games, no movies.
Everything
yet.
but movies.
We'll talk about that in a little while. But let's just talk about what we got for 2023. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the Bad Batch. So we got our season 2 of the Bad Batch this year. I know your thoughts on it, and then I'll chime in with mine.
So honestly, I think of the stuff that came out this year is probably like my least favorite, but that's like it was still really, really good. That just everything else I thought was better. It's a cool story. It's fun to continue. We really are starting to connect to the group and like you feel for them. And just starting to explore them as individuals and as characters.
Yeah.
There were a couple episodes that just, I know people hate that when you're just like, oh, it's a filler episode. There wasn't too much plot. But overall, it kind of moved well. Some big conflict. It's been interesting seeing all the stuff going on with Crosshair and like the realization he's coming to of why did I make this choice, and what the consequences are. So I think it took the turn that a lot of these animated ones have. It gets a little more mature and a little more adult in that second season.
Yeah.
And the stakes just seemed higher, and it delivered.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was good to have obviously that content. Now for me, I wasn't a huge fan of the Bad Batch. Like it was good when we got introduced to him in the Clone Wars and everything, but it's just that series. But what kind of got me a little bit was, to me, they kind of threw a curveball at us, and knows that you're probably talking to 2 huge Boba Fett fans here right now. And sorry, spoilers alert. It's been out long enough. If you haven't seen it, oh well, I'm ruining it for you. So obviously we know Omega is from the same DNA as Jango and Boba Fett. She's actually Boba Fett's little sister, or however you want to say it.
Yeah.
And they really made that point to really bring that out, but then we never heard anything else about that in season 2. Like it just kind of just went away. It's like, okay, we got that out there. That was important. And then, we'll just throw it off to the side.
I hope they deliver on it, and there's some plans for it coming up. Like I have no doubt there are. But yeah, it was kind of, they revealed this huge thing, and then
so yeah, that's what really got me on that. And then of course the question, everybody, is Tech still alive? I'm going to say yes, Tech is still alive. We haven't seen the end of Tech yet.
I hope, but yeah.
So that's the big thing there. So huge. I mean, it was a huge series. I mean, it was. I know when we saw the Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim, we saw the the trailer for this and stuff, and it was kind of neat, to see that. And did it live up to everything? It was there, but it wasn't one of my favorite shows of the year. Yeah. So the next one I'll talk about a little bit. Everybody knows I'm not a big anime person. I don't know much about anime. So this next series was kind of different. I did review it though. But let's talk a little bit about Star Wars Visions. So this one here is different. If you are an anime fan and like the different kind of anime, like storytelling and stuff, this is right up your alley. I mean, Brendan, what are your thoughts on Star Wars Visions, and everybody out there watching as well? I'd like to know yours too.
Yeah, so I thought it was fun that it wasn't pure anime this time. They really they got studios from all across the world. There were French studios. So this, I think stylistically there were a lot of different feels to this season. I think my thing with Visions is, even with the first one, there were some hits and misses, but I just love that it exists.
Yes.
It's taken chances. It's done some creative things. I think like the future of Star Wars exists in projects like these, in the fact that you got to take risks, you got to take chances. And eventually one of these little like 10-minute films is going to kick off, and it's going to be big, or like a ton of people identify with it or really like the character. And then we have something to build off of. So I loved the season again, just for like being different and being fun. There were a couple of those episodes that I rewatched a couple times. I love that it's taking chances. And honestly, it's like the animation was gorgeous. Yeah. Like the music was really good on a lot of the episodes. Like they're really well crafted. And I think that shows that people took a lot of time, effort, and they feel like they're made by people who love Star Wars, which is cool as well.
Yeah. And that's what, with me, when I went into it, I had to go into it with an open mind, obviously as a reviewer, because I could just go, I don't like anime, and just give it a bad review. which I didn't, because Star Wars Visions does, and actually it was more of a cultural kind of delicacy. We got, things from all over the country, different kind of animation formats. I mean, it was definitely some good stories. And like you said, there were some hits, there were some miss. I can't remember the title of the first one, but I really liked it because it kind of reminded me a little bit of Sabine and, her spray paint with the colors and everything.
Yeah.
And like that one I really liked. The first season, the Ronin, there's some good things in there. Don't get me wrong. Again, I'm not bashing it at all. It's just some of that stuff isn't my taste, but it was still good. The animation was good. The storytelling was good. It was something that
Boba Fett being in Rock Band was good.
We're done. We're done. The show's over. We're done.
You're being too
I never want to see Boba Fett in a Rock Band or like in that whole thing ever again. Like that was just that killed me. So yeah, thanks for bringing that one back up. I'd rather watch the holiday special than that again. So obviously we had some great other series that were out this year. You got me on that one. So let's talk about the one that was really hyped up this year, especially since we've already had a couple seasons of it. The Mandalorian season 3. This one had some hits, some misses, a really big miss, and then it was a decent season. Kind of the way it ended, but again, I'd like to hear your opinion. Anyone out there that's watching, please let us know your thoughts, what you liked about season 3 of The Mandalorian, and what you didn't like as well. But Brennan, go ahead and tell me some of your highlights from this one.
So I do like the beginning of the series. The Mandalorian was Din Djarin, and I mean, in general, he still is, but we're getting more of the story of Mandalore. We're getting the story of more Mandalorians. So it's grown, and obviously, him and Grogu are still very central characters. But I almost felt this was to some degree like Bo-Katan season more than it was Din Djarin's. And I like that storytelling. At the same time, I do think it was probably the weakest of the seasons of The Mandalorian that we've gotten so far.
Yeah.
But like, once again, it's when you're talking about things that are top tier, being down a little bit it's not bad. Definitely not bad. It's no Obi-Wan. So I really enjoyed the season. I do wish there was some a little tighter storytelling. I think I know the episode. There were some episodes that just didn't feel. We didn't need a bunch of guest appearances. They got a little ridiculous.
I'll talk about that one in my what grinds my gears.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
All right, so obviously, the Mandalorian. It was like you said. We've had so much hype with this whole season 1, season 2, season 3. That it definitely was something that we were all looking forward to, having these high expectations. And again, Dave Filoni with his storytelling was like, okay, we're changing it up to where, the Mandalorian, that's who we thought this whole story was going to be about, and then all of a sudden it pushes over to Bo-Katan, which I have no problem with because like you said, we're seeing, Mandalore rebuild. We're seeing, we're going to see probably more characters get involved. There's a lot of stuff that is going to be put together in this Mandoverse that, I think we're going to get some outstanding, content from. The thing I hated the most about that season, and let's just put it out there, is that episode where we threw every cameo in there. Jack Black, all that stuff. And it's not the people that were in it. I have no problem with the actors that were in it. It's just that episode gave no content to the season whatsoever, except for the first 2 minutes and the last 3 minutes. That was the only thing that was important in that whole entire episode. I don't know. I understand filler episodes, but that one just really kind of got me really hard on that one. Just I couldn't just comprehend what happened there. Like it almost
felt like fan service gone wrong, where they're like, won't it be fun if we do this? Like, people will love this. And we're just kind of sitting here like, put some no-named actors on. We don't care. Just give us substance, give us content. So
yeah, it was.
I didn't loathe it. It was to some degree kind of fun, but it got old fast. And then it's an episode that when I rewatch the season, I'll easily skip every time. Yeah. Like it just.
But what I found, what I like about it though, is obviously we're getting more into the cloning and tying into. I know people are not a big fan of the sequels, but guess what, people? It's happening.
It happened.
It's done. It's part of the trilogy. Deal with it, okay? But I like the cloning aspect of things. I think Moff Gideon is still alive. I think that was a clone that went down because he was clean shaven.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my theory on that one. I'm probably 100% wrong, but who cares? That's the great thing about Star Wars, is we can have theories all we want. That's what makes it fun. I like how, we kind of get Mando kind of going back to the range and relaxing, and we'll see when he gets called back for hire or not. A lot of rumors out there for season 4, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Is it going to be a movie? Is it going to be another season? Who knows what we're going to get for that. But overall, again, it was good. It wasn't the best, like you said. And I wish we would have got, and this is me, and obviously I think you might agree with this, the best Mando we got was out of the Book of Boba Fett, when he just went straight up, just chopping heads off and everything else. I was hoping to see more of that, but overall, though, that was a good season.
I want that season 1, episode 1 energy again. That first trailer we got, or that first snippet we got of the Mandalorian in the bar and pulling the person through the door, and that was so exciting.
Just think, Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, when, during that panel and that trailer hit, and and that's one of the things is I hope Celebration, and we'll talk Celebration too tonight. But I just remember because it was on every big screen on the floor, and everybody just stopped. It was just unreal. And then the panel was there and playing, and it was just, it's one of those things. As soon as that door opened up, the snow, and you're like, oh my gosh, what are we getting? This is awesome. And that's what I love about Star Wars, though. We don't know what's coming, but I don't care what the trailer is. We love it. We all love it.
Yeah.
It really gets us going on that one. So the big show, what we finished up with this year, of course, one of my favorite characters, obviously Ahsoka. Now this show, I loved it. I thought it was great. Again, I have a few mixed feelings on it. We'll talk about. But again, Brendan, I'd like to hear your thoughts, and anyone else too. Go ahead and chime in. We'd like to know your thoughts as well. But let me give you your ups and downs about the Ahsoka season.
Overall, I loved it. It's one of those shows that I could definitely nitpick at, but the little things that I kind of didn't like will never take away or dent the fact that overall, I just thought it was very well done. It was so great seeing these characters again. Hera is kind of been around in comics and books and hinted at and seen in the background, but to have her on the live action was just amazing. And we got a lot of character development out of Ahsoka, which is very cool. And just, everything they did with the they expanded the Star Wars universe for us. We went from one galaxy to possibly many, so much more lore that could be explored. And kind of if we talk about at some point we have to move out of the Skywalker era, maybe it's not just jumping forward and backwards in time. Now it's jumping galaxies. So
which would be
it opened up so many doors.
Yeah, and that's what we needed in the Star Wars. Like I said earlier, I'm old fashioned, but we need new stuff as well, or it's just going to get ran into the ground. The Ahsoka series. Now, I'll tell you, it was one of my favorites because, again, I am also a huge Ahsoka fan. I'll get my gripes out first. The hardest thing for me, and I know for a lot of people, is being a Star Wars Rebels fan, and I say this with every live action thing, is seeing some of the animated characters come over to live action. To me, it gets a little tough because you always hear, the voice of Ezra, the voice of Sabrine, I can't even talk. Sabine, those voices, but in your head, it's not right. And I always got to fight myself through that and say, I know, but we're getting more story and it's not going to be the same. Yeah. And I finally got over that, with Ahsoka's voice and everything else. That was kind of the thing there. Now, I will be one of the first ones to say I'm 50-50 on the Sabine using the Force thing. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
I could have been happy if she never used the Force, and it doesn't bother me that she does use the Force. I just think they kind of made her strong real quick using the Force and throwing Ezra across the ship. And sorry again if I spoiled it. It's been out long enough. People watch it. But those little things there that, again, but like you said, it's not enough to, take away from how good that series was. I mean, come on, we got Thrawn live action. I mean, how amazing is Thrawn? Thrawn's, again, probably now, Vader, Fett, and Thrawn are probably my top 3 villains.
Yeah.
It's just, it was a good series. It was fun. We got a lot of good Easter eggs. I threw stuff back. I mean, we had one that was pretty much like A New Hope when they were in the Millennium Falcon fighting, blowing up TIE fighters. We had that whole little scene reenacted. So a lot of great stuff with the Ahsoka series. When you talked about the galaxy, this is what I think is kind of interesting about this. So we know Ezra is now back, and we'll say the real world, because we don't know how they're calling these galaxies or how they're breaking it up. But a lot of people's questions was, how can we have all this stuff and, get to the Rise of Skywalker and not know where all these people are? Well, now we have an idea in our head that, hey, there's a lot of galaxies out there. There's a big space out there. Not everybody's going to be bumping into each other, helping each other out. And that's what I like about that. So now we might have some answers there. But my other thing is that we know that sooner or later, some of these characters are going to have to go away. I mean, they're not going to live forever. And, like I talked before, the Rise of Skywalker, when Rey hears all the voices from the Jedi, as far as we know, all those Jedi are dead.
Yeah.
And they're talking through the Force. So it's going to happen there. I'm anxious to see where the story will go. We've got so much going on.
30 years there.
Like,
But yeah, I agree. It's exciting. It opens doors. And it gives places to continue these stories in ways that don't mess with what's established.
Yeah. So, and that's what, I'm excited about. And, my biggest disappointment for 2023, and I guess I get them every year, but I am really ready for Star Wars on the big screen. There's something about going to the movie theater and watching Star Wars. You got that ship going over, your head, and the planet showing underneath of it, and so on. And then just hearing everything on the big screen is, to me, that experience will always be the best. I mean, even going back and watching the old stuff, like I know during COVID, I went, I think every day Empire was in the theater. I think I went every day once the theaters opened up and Empire was playing. And
yeah.
It was just seeing those, Rogue One's been in the theaters quite a bit. And I really, my biggest disappointment is that, for one, we don't really know when the next movie is going to be. And it seems like every time we say one, it gets canceled. So I'm not holding, my breath on anything.
They are in production on the Rey one, aren't they?
I think supposedly
it's gotten further than any other project at this point. So fingers crossed. But yeah, I mean, it was another kind of disappointing year. I mean, I know we kind of figured the Rogue Squadron movie wasn't happening, the Patty Jenkins movie, for a while, but I think that was finally confirmed this year. Then they pump us up like Kevin Feige's going to do Star Wars. And then end of this year, he's like, nah, no, I'm not. Nah. So I mean, at some point I'm just like, stop teasing us. Stop announcing these things that aren't going to come to fruition. Don't tell us about it till you're halfway through making it.
Yeah, it's just,
I can't take it anymore.
I mean, I know, like the series wise, we're getting the Acolyte next year. We're getting, I think Tales of the Jedi is next year again, season 2.
Yeah, season 4 of Mando might be pushed, and then we've got Skeleton Crew coming up.
Yeah, Skeleton Crew. So I mean, right now I think the 2 confirmed are Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, I believe, for next year. Tales of the Jedi will probably be next year, but we don't have an actual confirmation yet on that, so we'll have to wait and see there. But it's just I just want to say 2024 might be the year of letdown for us, because we got so much content, and then with the writer strike and everything else that happened, a lot of that content got pushed back, and now it's going to be one of those things where we're not going to get a
lot of time to read books and comics and get caught up on other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So there's definitely a lot of stuff out there that you can keep our time, and kind of a reboot from there. But I'll be anxious to see the race series, the race movie. I'm interested in it, because we're building a new Jedi Order. It could be like the High Republic part 2, or something. It's kind of
Yeah, it's what I like is it's building on what we've gotten in the past, it sounds like, as opposed to resetting it, which is, I mean, we don't need to get into the sequel trilogy today, but
yeah. Well, we won't talk about that one today, but but I mean, overall, I mean, this past year has been good. I mean, content wise, game wise, comic wise, collectible wise, there's been some great stuff that's been out there. Overall, if you're a Star Wars fan, we had a good year. Yeah, we can complain about some things and everything else, but I mean, the content that we've been getting has been great. And like I always talk about, stuff I don't like and things like that, and like, and Andor, like it's not that Andor wasn't good, it just wasn't my taste, and that's what. I try to explain that to people. Is like, well, because I say I don't like it doesn't mean it's not good. It just wasn't my expectation or my taste of things. And
it's not your cup of tea.
Yeah. So we'll see. 2024. What are some of your big hopes for 2024?
So, I think, what do we got coming up in 2024? So hopefully we get all these shows. I think the show I'm most excited for is The Acolyte. So once again, it ties into the High Republic stuff, which I've really enjoyed. It's the first real stuff we're getting that is just outside of the Skywalker era. So, and I think it'll be it has to be a good product first off, but I think if it's successful, there's a lot riding on it,
Yeah, there is.
It's kind of like, I mean, the Solo movie, when that was coming out, there's talk of a trilogy. There's talk of a Boba Fett movie based on that time frame. I mean, they set up Kira and Maul and all of this, and just the movie didn't hit. It didn't do as well as it needed to for all that to come to pass.
Yeah.
Which I think is unfortunate. But hopefully we don't have that same thing with The Acolyte, that it's well done, it gets a good reception, and it just opens up that era of storytelling, or it opens them up to exploring other eras and saying it's worthwhile putting TV shows together that aren't connected to what we've already done.
Yeah, and I agree 100% on that. And when you talk about Solo, I mean, like that left off where we wanted the Book of Boba Fett to start, and that's what we were really hoping for. And obviously, the Book of Boba Fett, that's another episode we'll talk about. I'm in a good mood tonight. I don't want to ruin it. But it's I'm hoping it's a hit. I hope it does good. I'm excited to see it and go from there. Skeleton Crew, it'll be interesting. Again, that might be one of those ones where it's good, but it might not. I think that's geared more towards the younger Star Wars generation, which is good because we need the young people to continue the torch. We want Star Wars to go, long past after we're part of the Force. So, that's good that stuff's coming out there as well. I'm really hoping, my big hope is obviously another Tales of the Jedi, because I love that series. That was awesome, especially the Dooku. I can't even talk today, man. Ahsoka, that was pretty good. I'm to see what other characters they'll incorporate, and hopefully Filoni will not keep. I mean, as much as I like Ahsoka, okay, we got her little story now. Let's go on to somebody else with that series on there as well.
I've liked the anthology stuff. I've liked the tight, small bits of story. Because I mean, each of those episodes wasn't much, but man, they just delivered so much content, so much depth to characters we already knew. They had big reveals in them. They were momentous things happened. Like
I mean, those 15-minute shorts told more than what some movies did.
Yeah.
You think about it. Ahsoka at Padme at the funeral, Count Dooku and Waddle. Who would have thought all this? It was just amazing. That when that Count Dooku episode, and I was just my jaw dropped. I probably rewatched that because I remember I had to do the review on it, so I had it like a month early, and I think I watched that one episode probably about 6 times because it blew my mind. And that's when you saw that Dooku finally really did turn, and it was such good storytelling. That's why I want more of those shorts, because they seem to be able to fit more and give us some answers of questions that we had.
And I mean, I think those rely on knowing the characters and they've done a lot of the character building outside of it, so they can focus on these intense personal moments. They can focus on something that's big and momentous. But I mean, I guess also some of them were smaller things too that weren't as much, but it did show like marked points of character development or things that were very important to that character. So yeah, they just really delivered in small packages.
All right. And then I guess another big punch to our gut this year. Obviously, you know, Star Wars Celebration London happened. Everybody's excited. And the biggest debate was where was it going to be next? Florida, California. Some of us were hoping for Chicago.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we got the announcement, Japan. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm glad Japan's getting. It's like nothing against. Again,
yeah, like us hating this
on me here. You know, I'm not Godzilla.
It's purely selfish, right?
Japan. We were just ready to go. I was ready to go to another celebration, and you know, with me going out of the country, probably isn't going to happen. So obviously, 2025. You know, we got celebration there. Hopefully, the next one will probably be in the U.S. because then we're looking at probably the 50th anniversary of Star Wars, which would obviously be a huge one, especially you know with some of the names. Hopefully, you know everyone's still around by that time. But I mean, I don't know about you, but when I saw Japan, man, I was just kind of like, really?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's purely selfish that we're like, oh, come on, please. Why would you do this to us? Why? I think it's good for Star Wars in general. I know for Star Wars to get big, stay big, keep producing stuff, they've got to expand outside of just the US market. So doing stuff in Japan, doing it near China, getting stuff out there that other people can experience and fall in love with is great.
Yeah.
It just sucks that I can't be there. Like, or I mean, costing it out and everything like that. It's a lot. So, Star Wars Celebration in Chicago was so much fun. It was such a great time. I just want that again.
Yeah.
So selfishly, I don't want it for other people. I want it for me, but I'm glad that people are getting the opportunity. I know people who are really excited to travel. It's something they haven't done. So, I think,
you know, my year for 2024, and everybody knows hopefully 2024, no surgeries for me next year. And, you know, my goal, obviously, you know, the conventions I have planned so far for next year, obviously, C2E2, you know, ICCC. New York's going to be up in the air because it's actually the same month during the Nashville one. So I have to decide on that one if I want to do 2 in 1 month. I don't know if my body will let me. But you know, obviously conventions are out there. There's some good stuff going on, you know, and you know, if you guys follow the Midwest Star Wars Fanatic page, I try to keep us updated on what Star Wars actors are coming and stuff for each conventions there. So I'm excited for next year. I know there's a lot. Again, we're going to get a little downtime from Star Wars, but we are going to get some new content, and then from there, I'm just excited to, you know, see where the future goes.
Yep.
So with that, everybody, we're done for the night, and that means we're done for the year. Again, I want to thank you all for watching. It means a lot to us. We do this for fun. We don't do this for money. We don't do this for anything else other than to talk Star Wars and give you all kind of an escape from reality. I know holidays can be stressful, and most of you guys that know me know mental health is a very important part of my life, and it should be a very important part of everyone else's life too. You know, as a veteran, we lose over 22 vets a day to suicide. And on top of that, we lose more who aren't veterans, but one is too many. So everybody just go out there. If you think that your buddy's struggling, you know, your brothers and sisters, whoever, just ask them if they're doing okay. You never know. You could either change their lives or you could even save their lives. And don't be afraid to ask for help. I always tell everybody this, you know, it's tough during the holiday seasons. People will get bogged down. You know, it's not weakness to ask for help. It's very good, very strong.
Human.
And there's always somebody there for you, man. And then if you can't find that person, 988, 3 numbers. Just remember that. Write it down. There's someone there always to talk to you. So everybody, be safe this holiday season. Have fun. I hope you all been good. See what Santa Claus brings you all. I'm excited to see our show it off Sunday after Christmas. And with that, Brendan, you got anything else for the year-end show?
No, I wish everyone happy holidays. have fun, enjoy it, take the time to treasure the moments you have, and we'll see you all in the next year.
All right. With that, everybody, again, be safe, and may the force be with you.